In my coaching experience, I have had clients who struggled in their work because of a toxic manager or a toxic coworker. So they couldn't really find a way out except for quitting. So if you're finding yourself in a similar situation, don't worry, we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about how we can turn a toxic work environment into a more positive one. Hey, Anna here. I'm a certified coach and difficult conversation trainer. I have witnessed my share of toxic behaviors toward myself and my colleagues, and I've learned strategies on how to reduce and eliminate this kind of behaviors, whether they're coming from a manager or a coworker or a higher up. But the strategies, they can help you to really teach people to show respect and appreciation toward you and your environment. So I'm going to teach you 4 key tricks and strategies that you can start applying today to turn your toxic workplace into a more positive one. And you might be thinking you've already done everything possible. There is no solution to your problem except for maybe quitting your job. So bear with me, listen to these 4 strategies and think about if there is an opportunity to apply them. These are very powerful strategies that can bring a very important impact in your work and the way you feel about your work. So the first thing you need to do, and I know this is the most challenging one, you need to challenge the status quo by speaking up for yourself. Because if you're at the point when you no longer can tolerate these toxic behaviors, you want to change, you need to initiate that change. So you might be in one of these 2 camps with this. The first camp are more quieter people who just sit there, they do their job, they do not actually raise concerns about the situation, they just keep it to themselves silently. So they pretty much sit there and boil in all of this toxicity and might be feeling fed up. And then the second camp, these are more louder people who are not afraid of creating a conflict about these behaviors. They would speak up very loudly, but because of the way they do that, they might be actually labeled as difficult or toxic people by their environment. So it matters how you actually speak up. So whichever camp you are, I invite you to go to the comments and put in there what camp resonates with you. Regardless which camp you belong in, you need to start showing to people around you, and particularly to the toxic people, that you are changing your behavior. Why? Because people who display toxic behavior, they have this internal psychological need to control others and to control the environment. And you changing your behavior, you showing different behaviors, will put them in this uncomfortable situation because they will start losing the control. They wouldn't know what to expect from you as the next step. If you are on the quieter side, you will need to start speaking up. And I have a very simple trick on how to do that. If you are on the louder side, you can use the same trick, but you will need to tone it down a little bit because people are used to seeing you disagreeing and you want to avoid any obvious conflict or disagreements. So let's have a look at this trick. So this trick is called counter-offering their request. What it means is that when a toxic manager or coworker comes to you with a request, you don't want to automatically acknowledge and comply with it. You actually want to come up with a counter-offer, come up with your own plan. And this is again to show that you are taking control in the situation and you are going to impact how you're going to do that. Let's have a look at some of the examples of counter-offers. Can you keep me updated on every step? I'll send you a summary at the end of each week. That way I can stay focused on my tasks while keeping you in the loop. But I prefer real-time updates. That might slow down our progress. Are you ready to compromise the speed of delivery and extend the timeline? I need to review that before you send it out. I value your feedback on critical points. For some smaller tasks like this, I feel confident in handling them independently. I still prefer to review everything before it goes out. Even small details can make a big difference. I understand your attention to detail. I will handle the smaller tasks, but we'll set up a quick review process for anything more complex. The next thing you need to do is to learn to stay calm when you are being triggered. So usually this is how a relationship with a toxic person works. A person who displays toxic behaviors, they come to you, they say or do something that triggers you, and you show an emotional reaction. An emotional reaction could look like when you are showing visually upset, when you are angry, you start disagreeing. Or it could look like when you shut down, you go into silence, you feel really upset and you show that, but you don't really say much about it. So either way, you are showing an emotional reaction, and this is what toxic people actually expect. They feed on this kind of reaction. They want to see that. So what we want to do, we actually want to break that pattern. So when a person with a toxic behaviors, they come to you, they say or do something to trigger you, instead of being triggered, you want to stay calm and you want to simply smile. A smile will throw them off. They wouldn't know what to do. They will start explaining themselves, justifying themselves. And you can just simply sit there, listen, and smile. And they would need to come up with a request, something they will ask you to do, and you can simply listen to that, take it away, and think about whether you want to implement it or not. So this is how we break the pattern. And to be able to do that, first you need to identify and recognize the triggers. So sit down with a pen and a paper and write down things that have triggered you in the past week. It is very likely if you've been triggered by those things last week, they will happen again in the future. So when they happen, you will be ready. You will know how to respond to those. Strategy number 3, you need to increase your visibility within the organization. People with toxic behaviors, they tend to be quite controlling. And for them to establish their control, they want to isolate people. They don't want people to work in collaboration and get ideas from each other. They want to be the only person who gives ideas, the only person who controls how to do things. So if you found yourself in a similar situation, then you might be having a controlling manager. So the next strategy is called, is this wrong or is it your personal preference? And this applies mostly to micromanagers. When you have a micromanager, they really like to control how things are done. They want things to be done their own way, and they think their way is the only right way. For example, a micromanager could come to you and ask you to change the image you used in your design. In response to that, you can ask, is this wrong or is it your personal preference? Asking this question, you prompt them to think about what is wrong with your design and to give you constructive feedback. Because if it's only based on personal preference, then there is nothing wrong with your job. There is nothing wrong with your design. It's just the personal preference. It's just the way they want to control the work you are doing. And they will come up with a lot of justification why the image needs to change, why a different image could create a better impact as a result of the design. But the key here is to continuously ask this similar question multiple times so that they learn to always come to you with constructive feedback rather than sharing their personal preference. So it's helping to build a habit for your micromanager to put aside their personal preference, but actually come to you only with constructive feedback. So try this strategy and let me know how you go. Thank you for watching my video and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you really want to eliminate all toxic behaviors in your work and create a positive environment for yourself and your colleagues, join my Detox Your Work program. The link is in the bio. In this program, we will go through all the problems you are experiencing and we will create an action plan how to address all these problems. If you want to know what is included in that program, download my free guide, Detox Your Work, and the guide will show you exactly the steps we are going to take within the 5 weeks period. Thanks again for watching and don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you can't wait to see my next video, follow me on TikTok and Instagram, Anna Budaghyan on both. See you next time.